What do we do with feelings, though? What are feelings?
They'll raise questions. They'll raise concerns. Hey, you can't really tell me how I feel. You can't really tell me what to feel. You can't really tell me where do we draw the line? Because if we're going to continue to live by a manner of, hey, your truth versus my truth, and this just is what it is. Can we make up and choose what we want, who we want to be biologically, requiring others to approach us and affirm the identity we now claim? So let me check out Imperial. Imperial drops, he says this, it's really plain and simple. You just can't choose to be someone different than what you were created biologically. Not necessarily want to over-explain it. It's just easy to understand. What's understood doesn't got to be explained. Again, from a Christian worldview, that makes all the sense in the world. Right. The issue comes in to reaching the very people that are identifying themselves with this community and group. Right. So my question is like, how do we address others? What do you think is a wise notion or wise movement to address others who just don't think it's that easy? They'll raise questions. They'll raise concerns. Hey, you can't really tell me how I feel. You can't really tell me what to feel. You can't really tell me I feel one way or another, right? This is my body, and I think I would know what my body feels best. How do we go about approaching people like that? Because to them, it's not that easy.
Let me jump in on that. I heard that. What do we do with feelings, though? What are feelings?
Yeah.
We have to have a definition of that. What is a feeling, right? Because if you just feel like something, isn't everybody's feelings then valid? I'm just curious. If I feel a certain kind of way, and you're saying, hey, these are my feelings, I feel this way, aren't everybody's feelings valid? Anybody who commits, I just felt like robbing a bank. Why are you arresting me? Who are you to tell me that my feelings weren't right? I felt like it, so I did it. So why are we locking them up? Why are we even addressing them? If I feel like I don't want to agree with your gender identity, but I'm supposed to let you feel like you can change your identity and I have to acquiesce to that, who's right?
Right.
See, that's where all the confusion comes in.
Because I would also say, man, I think your feelings can't supersede logistics and being logical. You can't allow your feelings to supersede that. It's a human tendency to not apply one principle to another principle and search for consistency, because this is one of those spaces where this is kind of what I want to do, and I'm going to try to make this make as much sense as I can, so that way it fits the narrative I want to create and carry. But in reality, it doesn't fit anywhere else. Like, you can't convince somebody that they should let a murderer go because they just felt like taking a life or multiple.
They just felt like it.
Like, there's nobody advocating for the unfortunate events that took place in Nashville. Like, no one's advocating for that person. Like, hey, they just felt like doing it. So, like, why don't we validate that and try to work something out? So I feel like, and even though you might think, oh, that's an extreme though, like, we're like, what, like, me changing genders and changing this and that doesn't affect anybody else. It's just me. It's what I want to do. When we move in spaces of truth and logic, that feeling, that thought has such a limited capacity. It's only going to take you so far before you look at the end of the road and be like, dang, okay, I got to change directions. I can't keep going. Because you'll run out of places where this logic makes sense. And then you'll find out it just doesn't really fit anywhere else. And a lot of people will just come out and tell you, right? Like, it's just something I want to do. It's just something I want to do. So it's a struggle because, again, like you mentioned, there's just a conflation of definitions. There's no groundwork of a definition to move by, to live by. And then to proceed to make truth claims, but then you have no ground basis of definitions or anything like that. That's very difficult to do, impossible to do when you try to make sense of it. So I love those thoughts.
But then you tell me that my truth isn't the truth, and that you have the truth.
Right. And so then it's like, well, is that true?
Well, then you got this, is that true? Right. So it's constant. It's so if I go to the Waldorf Astoria, which is a very expensive hotel in New York, I decide I'm going to the Waldorf Astoria, and I go in there and they hit my card and I swipe it and it doesn't compute for them and it doesn't pay. When they say, sir, you owe us X, Y, and Z dollars for this room, and that money doesn't show up in there, I can't look at them and be like, well, I decided to be a millionaire for a week. That's why I stayed at y'all hotel. They're going to be like, okay, well, we have something for you too. That's not that what you decided. I can't decide that I'm a millionaire and I get to go stay at the Waldorf. This is in essence what I'm being told in this scenario. I get to decide this is who I am and you have to believe it.
Yeah,
go ahead.
It's almost like the equivalent. I'm thinking like it's almost like the equivalent, like speaking things into existence. Like, so because you think you can just say it, you think it's just going to come to be. So like there's only one person in all of life who has ever spoken something and it came into existence. The person is God. And we aren't, right? So this idea that like you can just speak that reality into existence and then thereby force other people to believe that, right? That doesn't get the right response you're hoping for. Yo, listen, I've got something amazing in the works for you available right now. If you're somebody who's looking to make this year your best year yet at diving into your faith and allowing it to become more applicable in your life. Never known where to start. You've always been confused. It feels overwhelming. Maybe you feel you don't have time. You don't know how to apply the Bible into your life. You have so many questions and thoughts as to what makes sense. How does it make sense? Don't worry, your boy's got you covered with the Faith Factory. Click the link down in the description below, and in this Google document, you will find a plethora of resources that are at your disposal for you to be able to grow in your faith. I'm talking Bible plans, content creators to follow and subscribe to that better will enrich your faith, resources, links, books, all of that good stuff, even worship playlists, something to jam out to as you progress through your day. I really think this can be the start of something good for you and the lives around you by locking in and making sure that this year is your best year spiritually, therefore making it your best year ever. Don't forget to click the link in the description and go be great. So it's almost as if we're escaping a place of logical thinking and we're entering into a place of fantasy living, right? Where do we draw the line, right? Because if we're going to continue to live by a manner of, hey, your truth versus my truth, and this just is what it is, whose life do we compare that standard to say that that standard is the legit standard to live by? If we're just doing your truth versus my truth, there's no standard to compare that to say that this is the right direction to go. We're talking about the flourishment of humanity. It is very contradictory to see so much of this being pressed and moved on in this culture, and yet we're still screaming for the improvements of humanity in some kind of way. But that very movement and notion is literally not flourishing to the society or the survival of humanity. It's just not. Like if we continue to grow in these trends, bro, like there's no growth in humanity at all. It's stunted severely.
So let's go back to feelings real quick. American Psychological Association says this is what feelings are: the perception of events within the body closely related to emotion. It goes on to say it's self-contained phenomenal experience. Self-contained. Feelings are subjective, evaluative, and independent of sensations, thoughts, or other images evoking. Now that's very interesting. I didn't say it. That's in psychology. That's in the American Psychological Association's definition of a feeling. Makes sense to me. They're self-contained. That has to do with you. But that doesn't make it true for everybody else. It just doesn't make it true for everybody else, right? And it's something that you're walking through. It's a perception of something. Those are a perception of something within this own person's body. They're subjective. They're evaluative. They're independent. They're your feelings. Now, the person might say, right, they're mine. I get to own them. This is how I feel. Cool. But it doesn't change who you are. Feelings don't change who we are. Feelings simply tell us how to locate ourselves, even based on what we were told here, what's going on in us, right? What's happening in us. That's what it tells us. So I just want us to grasp this concept of this. And again, if you're on here and you say, I go by a pronoun, I ain't even mad at you. Real talk. I'm not mad at you. What I'm trying to say is, and ask you to share with us, please share with us, as Grape alluded to, how did you get there? What is the thing you stand on that you say, no, this is a fact, this is what this is, and it's disrespectful for somebody like me to tell you that I'm not going to address you in that manner when I clearly see that you are a female or a male. I'm not calling you the opposite sex. I'm not calling you the opposite sex name. It's just something that I'm not going to do. I would love to know, if there's anybody on here, why that would be dishonorable and disrespectful. It's different if you call me a MFer, because that's not what my name is. My name is Demetrius. So you be calling me out of my name with the intent to hurt me. Not that I woke up and said something. Now, if my mom named me MFer, then call me MFer all day. But that's not what my name is. You see, it's different. And I just want you to see it from a different perspective. But I'm open to hearing for sure how that works out. I just want to know.
Yeah, we're all curious, man. We just want to know. It sounds like their feelings have become their identity. Then it's kind of where you're going at that. It's like, if a feeling is an emotion, it's just to inform us. We've just allowed that to be the center of our hearts, of our mind, will, and emotion. And so now we're just kind of being conducted by our feelings. So we're going everywhere we want to go, doing whatever we want to do. And then that's just the end result. So that sounds pretty close to that idea there. So that's a good thought.
What's going on, party people? Listen, I'm just popping in real quick to let you know that I've got a new podcast I'm whipping up in the kitchen called The Bridge Podcast. I'm part of it with co-host Pastor Demetrius Colbert, who you've seen on this channel quite a few times. And we're here having real, raw, and relevant conversations.
We are going to say what you say. So sometimes it might be a little PG-13, because we're going to say what you say, like clapping cheeks, like they turned me on to that. Clapping cheeks. I was like, what? I was like,
Yeah,
what?
they're talking loud of their masturbation experiences, their experiences, what they're currently doing when they get home at night, who's doing what, how many times, how did it feel, sore, all that good stuff. I mean, they're getting in it.
Now, before you get to thinking, no, you don't gotta be a Christian to check out this podcast, because at the end of the day, that we are all humans having life experiences, have questions, serious topics, serious concerns that we all would love to be helped with and get navigation with. And so this is where we come in, looking to give some insight from my perspective and his, that we could come together, share some wisdom that I think will be beneficial for you and the journey of life you're on.
The whole point of the bridge, again, is for you to be able to get on it and not criticize the bridge, but to use the bridge and say, I need to walk across on this side and hear what needs to be said. And I need to walk across on that side and hear what needs to be said.
So don't forget to check us out. Link is in the description, and I can't wait to see you there.